I know I have said many posts what I'm about to say now, and I've said it in various different ways. But now is the most important time to be a believer. And we're seeing what's happening. We've been seeing what's happening. Some of us been reading books about it since the 90s or even before that. Some of us have, family members that are were part of different things when we were children or before we were born, and they hipped us to things that were coming to this day. Some of us have read, magazines and newspapers and things of that nature, studied and researched things to know, where we actually at right now in the world. And if you still looking at things black and white, you are very, very far from this battle that's going on. If you are still looking at things as Democrat or Republican, you are so very far from the war. This is a good and evil thing. Look at people next to you. Look at people you work with. Look at people you associate with, and understand that that very person you may have to draw a line against because they're not standing for good. Unless you're riding with evil, I mean, then that's your thing. Go ahead and do your thing. But you can just look at the world and see that most of the institutions and establishments that have been around and been in existence, from medical to law to education to food to drugs, all these things have crumbled, and what is left is this smoldering stench of people who are taking advantage of people who don't know any better, and greed. And you're gonna find as time progresses that your relatives, your your associates, co-workers, friends, you're not gonna be able to associate with them. You're gonna find that, and it was written that that's gonna occur because everyone's not gonna believe in good. Everyone's not gonna believe in doing the right thing. Everyone's not gonna believe and just believing in God. You know, for the last maybe 20 years, God's been God's been under attack, man. We're trying to kill God and everything, to the point where even I noticed when I was going to court, going through my divorce. They I don't know if this applies in every state, but I know in the state that I reside in, you know, it wasn't no Bible. It was just you hold your hand up and say you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And I remember the first time I experienced that, I said, "So help me God," like, and they were like, the judge looked at me like this stern teacher, like, I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, we're not doing that no more. I'm sorry. But we're living in those times, man, and things don't change unless good people do something. And there's a big part of the world with that school of thought that if you keep everything, they're fighting to hold on to the things that have been here to keep the evil going. So keeping people separated, that's one thing. Keeping people focused on materialism, that's another thing. Keep people not thinking about, health or wellness, that's a third thing. Keeping people distracted by, evils and, entertainments and things of that nature. That's, and in reality, not saying, every whether, scholar or non-scholar, everybody like to enjoy a good game on TV once in a while, a good fight, but keeping people distracted with it keeps you focused off of an innate higher purpose of good. It's like they need it. They need that greed to feed these machines, because these machines fail. Some of these machines survived during COVID, but a lot of these machines fail. And I really believe that COVID was supposed to be like a spiritual reset for humanity. I really believe that. I really believe that. I believe that, a situation like that, God allowed to happen to find his true warriors and believers. As history has always shown us, something so ill will happen and some good will come out of it. I just feel that. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people did change their mindset perspective, and a lot of people went back to church, and a lot of people, found God, a lot of, respect due. But yeah, it's coming to that time where, you got to watch the energies you keep around you. You got to watch the minds you keep around you. You got to watch people who claim they're your friends. You got to watch your family, and anybody who pulling you away from something positive or bettering yourself. You got to watch them. You got to watch them. If you're trying to do something to better your life, your future, your legacy, yourself, it's like, and somebody got something adverse to say, just think about that. Just think about that. You tell me that you trying to, eat better, or you trying to, read a little bit more, or meditate a little bit more, or you trying to, learn a new language or something like that. And somebody say something like, "Why are you doing that for?" You're like, "What? Why not?" So you got to be real careful, man. It's those times that grandmama and them was talking about. They here now. They been here. We existing in them, and you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to fight, and that saying, revolutionary kid, but that saying that the revolution won't be televised. It's not, because it's spiritual. It's spiritual, and this is the time to see if we're gonna stand or we're gonna sit and settle and take it. It's the time to see, and you have to be aware and use your God eye for everything, meaning that you have to look at things through the lens of what Christ may have looked through. You have to look at things like that, and it's okay, and it's for sure okay to, speak peace, bring peace, strive for peace, perfection, and all that glory. It's definitely okay for that. But we have to remember too, great men and messengers who came before always had ills around them. Always had ills around them. Those scriptures and stories is to tell you how to move at a time like now, and know that, like, man, when that bird squawked 3 times, when that rooster crowed 3 times, man, y'all gonna turn y'all back. And that similitude wasn't just figuratively of a rooster. It was 3 generations. When 3 generations change, it's like everybody gonna forget about. They're gonna be forgetting about me. They're gonna be forgetting about God. And if you look, history it shows us. If you just sit back and observe and don't get so caught up in always doing, sit back and reflect. When you read things or you hear things, sit back and reflect. Think. We got caught up in this, them destroying our imagination and our critical thinking. Think. Sit back and look at things. And understand that if everybody telling me we all good, we doing better, why is stuff like this? If everybody able to make means and make money and ball out of control, why is stuff like this? If everything is all good, why are kids the way they are? If everything is all right and we looking good for the future, man, why we ain't stop violence in the communities yet? Why was communities still look ransacked and destroyed? And I ain't talking about just a little here and there. It should be massive then, right? And if a little guy like me can do his part, why the people that got more than me can't do their part? Gotta shut it down. Peace. Fight for your life.